Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Telltale Luke, who is going to be a character coming to the game. He's going to be a character coming onto the advanced token wheel as well. Now visually we've never had a Luke in the game, and I know he's a character that quite a few people have been wanting to see. He is from Season 2 of Telltale's The Walking Dead, and it is really cool to see him in the game. If we can see him on the right hand side, you can see he is holding a default shotgun, so he's not going to have an attached weapon by the looks of things, but visually he looks kind of like he did in Season 2, pretty much similar. And on the left hand side we can see him with a rifle and him holding holding some walkers back, trying to come through a door. I think this was actually a scene from in the actual Season 2 where they were like in a bunker or something. Kind of interesting. Visually he looks really cool, kind of exactly how we would have assumed Luke would look in the game. And he has got a special weapon in his hands there, which we have actually seen come into the game as part of some missions. Now, if we check out his stats at level 1440, limit break 3, he has got 14,125 attack, 37,080 defense, and 37,080 HP. He is a tough character, of course, holding that shotgun. He's going to be a medic, Gold Mythic, of course, and another character to join the Telltale Allegiance. Now first up we'll look at Telltale Luke's Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Healing Through Pain. It has got a recharge rate of 55 AP, which is pretty fast, normal for a defense team character. Deals 20% of this fighter's max HP as damage to an enemy. If this fighter has bonus HP, damage a line of enemies instead. Heal this fighter and two teammates for 40% of their max HP. So this is pretty interesting. We have a lot of damage dealing defensive characters out there. This is on the Adrenaline Rush, but it's going to be based on the fact that if he's got bonus HP or not. Because of his specialist skill, he most likely will, generally speaking, have bonus HP, unless he has been like heal blocked in some way. And then obviously him healing himself and his teammates has a chance of just obviously bringing in more sustain. Extra sustain potentially based on his HP because of his specialist skill, but we'll get into that later. So yeah, it's pretty decent. 20% of his max HP. He can of course go behind Clementine as a Telltale leader who gives 70% extra HP, so he's going to have a pretty big number of HP. Considering his base HP is 37,000, which is very, very high, you're going to have not too much of a problem just off of weapon leader skill alone and mods to be able to get him over 100k. So this should be a big 20k hit plus, potentially to a line of enemies, and attack team characters are going to run into some issues there. Okay, so here we are. We have got the Adrenaline Rush up of Luke here. You can see his base HP is 82,000, and I think I've got a 35% HP weapon on him right now. 70% HP lead from Clementine, so he has got reasonable amounts of HP. He should do around about 16,000 damage. This is guaranteed. You can calculate this quite easily on how much damage output he's going to do. Defense team characters will take obviously a bit more damage, but attack team characters not so much. So it should be around 16k. It will bypass defense rating, as you can see. And then obviously he heals himself and his teammates, but if he is max HP, as he was, he's going to give some bonus HP to them based on his specialist skill. So obviously that's just extra sustain potential for him, but also for teammates as well. So pretty easy to understand on the Adrenaline Rush. He will deal damage. If he has bonus HP, it will happen to a line of enemies, like it did happen there. He did have bonus HP, so it did hit a line of enemies, and then obviously the heals come in afterwards. I think this Adrenaline Rush is fine. It works exactly how you would expect it to, and you can dictate how much that damage is going to happen based on, you know, how much HP he's got based on his mods. You can stack his mods up really high with HP. You can give him obviously a nice high HP weapon like 55%, and he should be able to get over 100k HP. He had a very low 35% weapon here, no mods, and obviously his base HP is really high, so doing mods that give HP will actually have a pretty reasonable effect. But it's whether you want to balance his stats or not to give him more defense based on the fact that you're most likely going to have him behind a Clementine lead and his defense will not be as high. So it's, you know, you want to balance the character out still, but his damage shouldn't be insignificant. But I see this mainly as a bonus, as generally speaking all defense team characters rushes are more of a bonus in my eyes. It's more about the signature move and the passives. If we look at the upgrades here though, you can see at grade 2 it gets an upgrade where he will heal this fighter by 40% of his max HP, so it'll self-heal. Then grade 4, he'll get plus 10% damage, so it'll go from 10% up to 20% of his max HP to those enemies. And then at limit break 1, he'll get an upgrade where he'll heal 2 other targets, and it'll be a 40% heal to 2 other targets. And lastly, at LB3, if this fighter has bonus HP, damage a line of enemies instead. Now, I think this is not crazy important to get to LB3. The most important reason to get him to LB3 is the stats. Obviously, on a defense team, you need as much stats as possible. But so far, I would say limit break 1 is quite important for the adrenaline rush. It is nice to do a line damage. Obviously, you've got more chance of taking characters out. This does generally mean that the signature move max will be LB2, so it might have a little bit of a better entry point than most characters. But like I say, if you want to get the best out of the character, LB3 for the stats, to give them just the highest stats possible to have a much better chance of surviving on a defense team. The adrenaline rush is okay, but we'll check out this signature move now. And that signature move is called Exhausting Resources. Initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. This fighter recovers from all penalties and heals 50% of their max HP for 3 turns. A line of enemies gets minus 35 AP for 2 turns. So this signature move is about max sustain. If he isn't fully controlled and he can actually do this signature move, then he will be able to remove all types of control, all types of, damage over time, or all types of things like infection. And then he heals himself for 3 turns, which will help proc his signature move. It will proc once when he actually does his signature move, so he'll heal for 50% initially, and then for 2 more turns, he'll heal for 50% at the beginning of the turn. And then because of the cooldown being 2 turns, he should have this on a constant cycle. And he'll also seemingly have it potentially on a constant cycle of the AP drain as well. So if you can't control this guy, where stop him from doing this, and that would be like stun, taunt, confuse, or daze, and then obviously focus can obviously bypass a couple of those, but if he hasn't got one of those on them, he'll constantly do this. Your characters will constantly get AP drained, and he'll constantly be giving bonus HP out to teammates. And it sets up his adrenaline rush quite easily, so generally speaking, his adrenaline rush now should almost always hit a line of enemies, unless he's extremely low HP when this procs, but generally speaking, it should always hit a line of enemies. Very rare that it doesn't hit a line. Okay, so now we are attacking, and as you can see, I put quite a few effects on Luke in the bottom right-hand corner. He's got, heal reduction, bonus HP block crosshairs, infection, bleed, and burn, and I'm going to put normalizing on him as well. But because the cleanse comes in first, and the heal comes in afterwards, he'll cleanse all those heal blocks and heal reductions and bonus HP blocks, and then he'll heal himself and then get bonus HP. So that is obviously something to note, which is very nice when it comes to just his individual survivability. He will be susceptible to trauma, but obviously you can put a nice trauma resist on him, Paragon 90%, and he'll have less chance of actually having that occur. And as predicted, the upgrades on the signature move do go up to LB2, which is obviously great to see. If we see it grade 3, it gets plus 25% heal. So initially it is a 25% heal for 3 turns, but it gets boosted up to a 50% heal for 3 turns. Then at grade 5, it gets an upgrade where a line of enemies gets minus 35 AP for 2 turns. This is going to happen at the beginning of their turn. They can get past this with a signature move, but they also would have to be commanded. So you are effectively, wasting command potential on these characters, but it is very frustrating to have to deal with. And then, like I said, LB2 is the max one, and it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes from a turn 2 starting cooldown down to a turn 1 starting cooldown. And that is pretty standard, having the last upgrade be -1 to starting cooldown, but because the signature move now has that LB2, that does mean that I would say you could get this character to LB2 and still have a pretty decent character. They will not have as much stats as I talked about when I was looking at Adrenaline Rush. The Adrenaline Rush will not be as good, and you will not have the last half of what is generally one of the better passives, but you will have a decent starting block for the character for a defense team, and they should be reasonably viable at LB2. I think this sort of signature move will be underrated. Full Cleanse is very, very nice. The Paragon Trauma Resist mods are obviously going to be very good. Trauma isn't really heavy in the game either, although that could change in the future. This character could put those Trauma Resist mods that you have in your mods tower to good use. Now, before we look at Luke's mythic abilities, we will be doing a giveaway for 10,000 advanced tokens. Because Luke is going to be an advanced character, you can obviously pick up 10,000 advanced tokens in this giveaway. And we're going to make the entry phrase real nice and simple. It's going to be Telltale. Just as long as you have Telltale in your comment, I would use it as a bigger sentence so it doesn't get spammed, but I think that should be pretty easy to use in a sentence. Leave your comments down below. Best of luck if you enter. Now back to the video. Now here we have Luke's mythic abilities. These are of course his passive skills. First up, he has got Spirit, so 20% of all healing performed by this fighter is also granted as bonus HP. You did actually see that proc on his signature move, where he got a little bit of bonus HP first, and then he got more bonus HP afterwards because of his specialist skills. So this is going to be nice for his own self-heals. His self-heals are big, 50% of his own HP. Let's say he has got 100k. That means he should get 10,000 bonus HP each time he heals himself on those procs, which is a nice little bonus. Next up is a Painful Tale. This fighter gets 15% critical hit resistance for each Telltale Allegiance teammate. This doesn't sound that great when it's just him alone. He gets 15% crit hit resistance. Basically, he gets a second role passive as a tank to a certain extent. However, if he's in a full team of Telltale characters, this will go up to 75% crit hit resistance. This does mean that deal damage is going to be one of the only ways to really get actually a decent amount of damage on this character. Anyone who relies on crits will generally not be hitting them on a regular basis against him. The next passive is called True Attention, where it says at the start of each wave, 100% chance a random enemy gets taunt for 1 turn, but it gets +1 duration for each other Telltale Allegiance teammate. This does mean if he's in a defense team with 5 Telltale characters, including himself, someone's going to get taunted for 5 turns, which is absolutely nuts. I don't think we've ever seen that length of control ever, except Unlimited. We do have obviously for the rest of combat, but an actual 5 turn potential is really high on a turn-based thing. Now Luke's last passive is called Amid the Ruins. At the start of each wave and turn, this fighter gets 30% defense for 1 turn and heals 10% of their max HP, but also gets +30% defense and +10% heal for each other Telltale Allegiance teammate. So again, if he is in a defense team by himself, he'll just get the 30% +10%. But if he's in a Telltale team, like a full 5-stack Telltale team, he should get 150% defense each turn, plus a 50% heal every turn as well. And this should happen at the beginning of the wave, so before you even attack the defense team, this will proc his specialist skill and give bonus HP to everyone on that defense team. Telltale teams have stacked up HP as it is, so it's effectively just going to stack extra HP on a team that already has tons of it. So let's check out Luke in a full Telltale team just to see A, that taunt, and B, all the stats and bonus HP that he's going to get from Amid the Ruins. Okay, so here we are attacking, and as you can see, the defense team has already got a bit of bonus HP. One of my characters has already attacked, so the bonus HP went down by a little bit, and it was Lily who has got a 5-turn taunt, as you can see. Now, it's worth noting, I did talk about the trauma potential being an issue for Luke, but he is going to get a trauma buff, I believe. I can't remember exactly which character it is. I think it's Krista does a trauma buff to Telltale characters, and that is going to work for Luke for the first 2 turns. So that's obviously a nice little bonus there. He has got 150% defense as well. What we'll do is we'll do a little bit of damage. I won't do anything too crazy. Not that I can, because my entire team is dazed by the looks of things. I don't even know how that is actually possible, but the entire team is dazed. So we'll do a little bit of damage. Now he's going to heal for 50% again. And then that will obviously proc his specialist skill, which will heal everyone's bonus HP. Like I say, a little bit problematic when it comes to this stuff. This Telltale team looks to be shaping up actually pretty decently. However, it might be a little bit susceptible to things like burn and bleed, but you can swap out one of those Telltale fighters if you wish for someone who's going to make that less of a problem for you. I'll leave you guys to the team building on the Telltale team potential, but definitely looks like it's shaping up to be pretty decent. If we look at the upgrades on Luke's passives, we can see at grade 1 he gets the first half of Painful Tale, where he'll get a 5% critical hit resistance for each Telltale Allegiance teammate. At grade 2, he'll get the first half of Spirit, where 10% of all his healing will be given as bonus HP to the fighter that is healed, as long as they actually heal for the HP. Now coming in at grade 3 is going to be the second half of a Painful Tale, where this fighter gets a total of 15% critical hit resistance for each Telltale Allegiance teammate. This does not act as a buff. It isn't above his head. It's just going to be a permanent buff on the character for the duration of the fight. Moving on to grades 4 and 5, you can see True Attention comes in at grade 4 at the start of each wave. 50% chance a random enemy gets taunt for 1 turn, +1 duration for each other Telltale Allegiance teammate. And then at grade 5, you can see the first half of Amid the Ruins comes in, and it basically halves the power of the overall power, where at the start of each wave and turn, this fighter gets 15% defense for 1 turn and heals for 5% of their max HP, plus 15% defense and 5% heal for each other Telltale Allegiance teammate. Moving on to the Limit Break upgrades, you can see at Limit Break 1, Spirit 2 comes in, where 20% total of any healing done is going to be granted as bonus HP. At Limit Break 2, True Attention 2 comes in, where it'll make it a 100% chance a character is taunted for potentially 5 turns based on the amount of Telltale characters that are in the team. And then at Limit Break 3, Amid the Ruins 2 comes in, where it just doubles Amid the Ruins 1 up to the main stats, where it's 30% defense bonus and a 10% HP heal if just Luke's in the team, plus 30% and a 10% heal for every other Telltale teammate. This is at the start of each wave and turn, so he'll get this as the fight starts and also when it goes to their turn after you take your initial moves. What is good about this, like I mentioned before, is that while Amid the Ruins as an overall buff is nice, having 30% plus 10% plus all the stacks, based on the other parts of his kit where he could potentially be usable at LB2, Amid the Ruins is still usable at LB2. So this character looks pretty decent. At a slightly lower grade, he will have lower stats. He will definitely have lower defense because his defense bonus from this buff will effectively be halved. And then obviously his HP healing will be halved too, means less actual bonus HP from his specialist skill, so on and so forth. So if you want the most power out of him, obviously LB3 is the way to go. But if you were really unfortunate or you only had enough tokens to get him to LB2, that would still be pretty worthwhile with regards to how powerful this character can be. But I like the passives, they do work well with Luke's kit. The taunt is going to be problematic, and Amid the Ruins is very nice for Luke's survivability. Now, of course, Luke has got a specialist skill, and it is Overheal 2. This means that any HP that he heals over max HP, 50% of it will be granted as bonus HP to Luke, plus all other teammates. This does mean that if he was to heal for 50% of his max HP on the full Telltale team, because of his passive, at the start of the wave, everybody will get 25% of Luke's max HP as bonus HP. So if you did manage to get him up to 100k HP, everyone would get 25,000 bonus HP. If you manage to get him higher, obviously it will just scale with his max HP. This is very nice. You know how it works when it comes to characters that have got this. Davy, Nor, these characters, generally very nice for survivability of a defense team, but there are some attack characters that can take advantage of this as well. So it is a fine balance. Telltale does have a couple of ways to get around this, with the early Halo on the defense team and also the Guardian Shields on turn 2 potential. So there is added extras on the survivability for this team. Bonus HP in general is a nice ability for sure. Now, we saw in the intro he does not have an attached weapon. It is just a default weapon, so you're going to have a weapon nice and ready for him. The tough weapon that is in the current missions looks potentially good for him, but that is probably aimed at bigger spenders. I think if you're someone who doesn't spend a huge amount on this game, that weapon's going to be a little bit inaccessible for you. But I think tough defense team weapons, a lot of people have. We did get given quite a few over the years when it came to like a league store and so on and so forth. When it comes to defense, HP, impair on defense, and bonus HP based on how many tough characters are in the team. You don't necessarily have to go for that, but that is just a good basis, and you can expand on that based on how you feel it'll work on Luke or the team he's in. If he is on that full Telltale team, there are 3 tough characters, so you could get a little bit of a boost because of that with that 4th slot. But the choice is up to you. So this was the first look at Gold Mythic Telltale Luke, who is the first ever Telltale Luke to come to RTS. It is always nice to see a new Telltale character in the game. And like I said, I think there were quite a few people who wanted to see this character, and their prayers have been answered, effectively. Their prayers have been answered. I think as a defense team character, he is going to add quite a significant amount of sustain to a general defense team. But I think that Telltale team has now come together very nicely. Two of those characters as well were extremely accessible, and even in just a 3-man team with Krista, Omid, and Luke, that trio could do extremely well based on the fact that they give buffs based on Telltale characters. They still buff the entire team. Very nice indeed. But what do you think about Luke? Is he a character that you think you'd like to see on a defense team? Are you going to just pull because it's Luke? Let me know in the comments down below. Best of luck if you enter the giveaway. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.